All right, let's go through the AFC West, starting with the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton's the new head coach there. You went with interior defensive line as their biggest need.
Yeah, I think their edge rush should still be good. I mean, it was cooking earlier in the year, and then everybody got hurt, and it kind of completely disappeared towards the back end.
There's some depth there.
Yeah, and I think it should be fine next year. But the interior, they trade away Shelby Harris. It was a problem spot, and when you look at that defense, it's like the only problem spot. That was one of the better defenses in the league, but they were unable, I think, to really clamp down on opposing offenses up the middle.
Yeah, not a lot returning there either. Draymond Jones is one of the top interior defensive line free agents. You've got some young players there. Ayoma Uwazurike was drafted last season, didn't play a ton this year, and DJ Jones still on the roster. So they just don't really have a ton of bodies there. Mike Purcell still there as a nose tackle. We'll see what they're doing schematically as well. But, I think that makes sense. The other place I would look is interior, maybe offensive line, where Dalton Risner is a free agent. And we tend to do this, but because Sean Payton had Drew Brees, and they always made sure to have those big, strong guards and, make sure that the top of the pocket was solid, are they going to try to replicate that there? So center could be a place for an upgrade with Lloyd Cushenberry III, and then left guard, like I said, Dalton Risner hitting free agency. So
yeah, that will be an interesting thing to see if that comes over from Sean Payton's time in New Orleans, like whether one of the understandings that he brings to the table about how to run an offense with a vertically challenged quarterback is you need to change the way you would build a team otherwise. Like if he's building a team to protect Tom Brady or to support Tom Brady, it's a different system than if he's doing it for Drew Brees or Russell Wilson. And maybe they do decide we're going to go hard for offensive guard help, for interior offensive line, and we're going to make sure that those guys that he has vision, that he has whatever vision he can have over the middle and be able to complete passes.
Let's move on to the AFC representative in the Super Bowl, the Kansas City Chiefs. Their biggest need this offseason, Sam, you went with edge rusher as the top offseason need.
Yeah, I think it still is, right? I mean, I know they've addressed it a lot. They bring in Frank Clark, obviously by trade. George Karlaftis was a first-round draft pick. They bring in Carlos Dunlap as a sort of lower-price free agent. When you consider the wrecking machine that Chris Jones is on the interior, those guys should be more effective. And Frank Clark has the tendency to be better in the playoffs than he is in the regular season, but it's still not exactly the impact playmaker that they were expecting. I think they really need to find an edge rusher that can dominate one-on-one and actually provide a complement to Chris Jones, not just like clean up whatever he leaves them with.
Frank Clark has a scheduled cap number. He heads into the last year of his deal in 2023. Cap number scheduled to be $28 million. This year is $13 million. So he's an absolute cap casualty, potential cap casualty. They would save $21 million, have about $7.5 million in dead money, but that feels like just a thing that's going to happen, right? So that'll open up, Michael Dana is the backup there. George Karlaftis, you mentioned, drafted in the first round this year, but wasn't great as a rookie.
Yeah.
So it's still something that you have to improve, but also expect Frank Clark to be gone.
And obviously Karlaftis could get a lot better year two.
Yep.
But he
still need two starters there.
Yeah, and he actually had some decent production if you just look at pressure numbers or sack totals or whatever it is. But the way he won was concerning to me year one. Like you look at his tape, it's very, very difficult to find clean, impact, decisive wins early in the down. Like almost every bit of pressure or sack that he gets is a late hustle play. It's chasing down somebody. It's taking advantage of a quarterback that's already on the move and just sort of moving into his area. Like those are important. You need a guy that can do that, but I think it's a much lower bar to be able to get that than it is. Like we need someone that can win. We need somebody that can actually create the problems for other people to clean up as well as just rely on Chris Jones causing them.
All right, let's go to the Las Vegas Raiders, where you went quarterback, which of course makes sense because Derek Carr is we're 8 days away from the deadline here.
Yeah.
Going to get traded or cut.
Yeah, the point where they decided, Derek Carr, see ya, you're out of here. Obviously, quarterback became their biggest need. It feels like they have to be looking to the draft, right?
Or Rodgers. Same thing. With Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is liking tweets and all that, so you watch yourself. Watch it. I'm easily distracted here when we're live.
He's
Easily
a big man.
distracted.
He's a big distraction.
Aaron Rodgers, though, don't you look at me either.
Yeah.
You can come say
Let's
hi.
go.
Yeah, come on.
Let's go, Doctor. The late Dr. Eric Eager is back to.
Do we have a mic for him? We don't have a mic.
No,
for
we're gonna
Eric.
have to.
I'll just
You have to
talk
lean
in
in.
here.
What's up,
Hi.
Doctor?
You guys talk about me like I'm dead.
Yeah, we call you the late Dr. Eric
That's what we
Eager.
do. Austin Gale, dead to us.
Yeah.
Dead.
You're
Rest-
just dead. You're not
It's nice to
dead
say rest in peace.
overall. You're
No,
just
it's good
dead
to see you.
us.
It's nice to see you guys.
It is. It's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
How's the week?
Nice coat.
Good.
Keep the coat. We're not allowing you to promote anything here.
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
Please
Yeah, that's
cover
true.
up the
That's true.
coat
But
over the T-shirt.
You've upgraded the dress code from the PFF.
Thank you.
time.
Thanks for
I like
noticing.
that.
Yeah. It's a t-shirt, and a blazer. I had a blazer last week when I was at something else, so I'm trying to step it up in this world.
Beautiful. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Onward and upward.
Yeah. I gotta get you guys' opinion. What do you think's gonna happen? I've been telling people I like under in the game, but I don't know who's gonna win. Even though I'm a Chiefs fan, as all you guys know,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take a stand like I did last week against the Bengals. I think the Eagles are a very, very formidable foe here.
They're a very good team. I don't know. I like the match. I like Mahomes against the Eagles defense. I like the matchup this year. The Chiefs satellite space offense.
I think the Eagles being favored is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think a lot of that though is when you look at the point spread between +2.5 and -2.5. We saw that against
Right.
the Bengals. It's like really meaningless. It's like 10%,
Sure.
either way. And when you came out of last week's game, I mean, honestly, if the Chiefs would have gotten to overtime, no chance in that game, right? They were leaning at the tape for the last
Right.
quarter of that game. You come out of that, you're like, Mahomes is still a little bit banged up. Juju, Hardman, Tony, all banged up. I think that they're going to get a good break injury-wise, getting most of those guys back. But, the market is what the market is at this point, right? Like, I don't think it's going to move much.
The appealing thing about the Eagles all year is how good they are at everything, right? I mean, they can win in different ways. They can win with the pass game, run game, pass rush,
But the one
coverage
thing,
unit, the whole
the
thing.
one thing that we haven't really seen much is, like, what happens if they get smacked in the mouth? Like, we know, like, if Patrick Mahomes is down 14 points in the first quarter, who
Yeah,
cares,
we
right?
know. Yeah.
Everyone knows what happens then. We don't know what happens if that happens to the Eagles, really, this year, because they've played like almost the entire season with a lead.
Well, it's only happened the first time they trailed in the second half of a game all year was that Monday night game against the Commanders, and they didn't do anything.
Right.
And then the game after that, they're losing to Jeff Saturday's Colts. They get the game-winning touchdown against the Colts without the virtue of a completed pass.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Like, I think the thing that I think people are too broad when they say the Eagles haven't played anybody. What the Eagles haven't done is they haven't played in that many game scripts.
Yeah.
We've seen them play from ahead, right? This is why I like under in the game. If they get ahead of the Chiefs, they're going to run the football and reduce the number of possessions and 35.
They'll slow it down,
Yeah, they'll
sure.
slow it down. And if the Chiefs get ahead, I don't know if Hurts can necessarily bring them back.
Yeah.
I don't think he does not look comfortable as a passer.
Well,
it honestly looks like he's laboring
And
out
that's
there.
the thing. Remember, he's hurt as well. Like,
Yeah.
we're all focusing on Mahomes and his
Did you
ankle
see him
injury.
wince during that game?
Right.
Like, he looked bad.
And they keep throwing him out there and letting him run the ball. And because he's doing that, like, everyone's like, oh, Hurts is fine. But
Yeah.
his passing hasn't been as good since he come back
No.
from the shoulder injury.
No, but they do run the football very well. I know, that's blaspheme for somebody like me to talk about, but like,
But it's because there's a quarterback involved.
Yeah,
QB running's
he
acceptable.
has gravity there, and he certainly like is a tough runner, and that offensive line is amazing. I do think the Chiefs' defense is one of the more underrated units in the NFL this year, though. I mean, you're talking about like 7th in yards per play allowed, 6th in net adjusted yards per pass allowed.
A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, though, against the young corner. The corners have held up pretty well. To me, it comes down to those explosives.
What we saw
that
in the
those
Bengals
guys
game,
create.
it was interesting. Once Tyler Boyd went out, that hurt them
Third
I think
option.
a lot more than people believe. And like the Eagles have Quez Watkins, which is like whatever. I do think the numbers game is still in the Chiefs' favor because they're not great at any one corner. Maybe Snead, you can maybe squint and say he's great, but they're not weak in any one corner.
Yeah.
And they've shown a proclivity to play the guy who's hot, right? They started out with Jalen Watson, then they benched him and put in Josh Williams, then they put in Watson in, and last week they had to play both. I think that they're very resilient roster-wise defensively.
If A.J. Brown, though, if he goes 10 catches for $150,
Sure.
to me,
Yeah,
that's what
that's
the Eagles need. We talk about run game and shortening and all that stuff. If A.J. Brown just goes off, the Eagles have a chance to win, right? And I think they're probably going to need that.
A lot of that is contingent on Jalen Hurts sort of getting back to where he was earlier in the season before
Yeah.
that shoulder injury.
Well, why don't you make a final prediction here?
Oh, wow.
Are you doing what I do? Is different one? at every
So
spot?
I don't know though, because people will call you out for that on Twitter. So I like under. I don't have a pick on the game yet.
I have some Twitter advice for you.
Yeah.
If you ignore it, it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
It
Right. It's not
doesn't
real life.
exist.
I
Like
will
like Johnny Bengal fan
Right.
didn't even have to exist last
Good
year.
rep by him the other day too. By the way, so 47. So let's go 24-23. I'm still going to pick the winner, but that's going to be the score. 24-23.
24-23.
24-23.
Goes under. Yeah. And bet the alts with Valdez-Scantling. Either he's going to catch 0 balls or he's going to have 150 yards. Like that's what I told Dave last week when we went to the game. That's the one player prop. Another good player prop is Jalen Hurts under passing yards. It's like 240 now. It was 250. I just don't see a game script where he throws a lot of yards.
The AFC Championship game becoming like a Marquez Valdez-Scantling monster game is one of the most absurd things that's happened this season.
Well, it's his second career 100-yard receiving game in a title game.
The new Sammy Watkins.
Yeah, he's the new Sammy Watkins. The J.D. Drew of football.
The J.D. Drew. I mean, you and I get that reference. The 07 J.D. Drew stepping up at the Grand Slam, baby. But,
good to see you guys.
It's good to see you.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks
you,
for
man.
having me.
Yeah, we'll see you around.
Take it easy.
And now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Where were we? We finished with the Raiders, though, right?
They need a quarterback.
Are they bringing in Aaron Rodgers
I don't know.
for
Are they?
Devontae? Devontae's liking tweets about bringing in Rodgers and that's very important. If you like tweets about Rodgers coming in,
It's all about the social media. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously Rodgers makes a lot of sense there. The Devontae Adams connection speaks for itself. The Raiders' offensive line actually took huge steps forward last season. Maybe they still need a player or two here and there, but there were the pieces for that offense to function really well with Aaron Rodgers there. The defense still needs some work, but I mean, sure, it makes some sense.
All right, we're going to wrap this up now, right? Los Angeles Chargers. Dude, you went interior defensive line for like the 12th straight year.
Yeah. Prove to me that they don't.
For the 12th straight year, the Chargers need interior defensive line. Biggest offseason need.
Yeah. I mean, argue with it. Everybody that they
No,
brought in
it's-
last year wasn't good.
It's right. I mean, Sebastian Joseph Day, I was a little wary of that move. It was only $8 million a year or whatever, but he's still not great. They tried last year with him and Austin Johnson. Both guys graded in the 50s.
Yes.
Both were below average.
They had a
players.
problematic run defense, particularly up the middle, the year before. And then they bring in Joseph Day, they bring in Austin Johnson, they bring in Khalil Mack, which we thought might be a sneaky move to actually help upgrade that. Maybe we expected a jump from Kenneth Murray rather, at linebacker, and the run defense up the middle got worse. So it didn't work. Like, nothing you did positively impacted the run defense, so you got to keep doing it. You can't just go, well, we tried and failed, so we're out.
I have an update from Bobby Slowick.
Oh, yeah?
I said, we're live on the podcast and we break any news.
No.
He says, haha, no.
Yeah.
But enjoy your podcast. I'm sure it's lit.
Lit.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm sure he won't care that I just quoted him directly on that.
I think you gotta say that kind of thing. You need to let them know they're on the record.
He said misses us. He misses us. Anyway.
Tell them we expect to be allowed to break the news.
He said he's just trying to take care of business.
Expect / demand.
I did say that.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, I'm just trying to take care of business. Miss you guys. So there we go. So the Chargers, yeah, definitely the interior defensive line. I mean, they did spend money, like I said, on 2 players last year. We'll see if they go draft. They were the team that we pegged for Jordan Davis in the draft as another, big-bodied, you defend the run with fewer players and it helps your coverage shell and the whole thing. You know what I would say with Chargers as I was studying them a little bit this offseason? Speed. And I see the chart. Look at Walt in the chat saying they need Zay Flowers. The Chargers were one of the slowest teams in the league when it comes to just receivers. Their
Which makes
receivers
sense, right? I mean, if you think who
with
they
Mike
have,
Williams and Keenan Allen and also some of the injuries. But I would like to see like what the Lions do with Khalif Raymond and bringing in Jamison Williams and all that stuff. Like get that speed receiver in there to complement basically 2 possession guys in Mike Williams and Keenan Allen.
Neither of whom has ever been a speedster. I mean,
right. And Keenan Allen's never been a 4.7 guy, but, he's not fast.
Yes.
So I would say speed as well. But I'm with you. Interior defensive line for the 12th straight year. The Chargers are, if nothing else, they're very consistent. They get us excited in the offseason, and they always need interior defensive linemen.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Mm-hmm.